What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday. Today we're going to get in your pockets a little bit, but I got a larger point to be made and kind of to drive it home. I also want to talk about the studio series a little bit, the leaks that have come out, and I want to talk about a few other things. We might get into that a bit more next week because I'm sure after this HasCon thing, there's going to be a ton of reveals and probably stuff to talk about, but I do want to touch on it today as well. But this kind of piggybacks off of another discussion that we had on here, with the idea being of I still see people in the comments with I can't afford such and such, I can't afford such and such, and I just want to break down some numbers for you today. Just some food for thought if you're interested. You know, sometimes I can get lost in the numbers. It's probably because I'm not very good at math, but it's okay. I do know how to add. Everybody get what they want from the HasCon exclusive stuff. I got what I wanted. I got the two sets, the Battle Indoor and the Hellfire Club, which were the only two I was interested in. So I got both of those. I had to pay for that premium membership in order to do it, but whatever. They get you, boy. I'm excited to see what this HasCon reveals are going to bring this weekend. Really looking forward to it. But let's get into a little bit of house cleaning. Honestly, there's not that much. Last week, I was sure that they were going to come for me with the torches regarding the Fans Toys conversation, and they didn't. Most people got it. Most people understood where I was coming from, and some people were like, look, I see what you're saying, but it's not exactly DEF CON 3, and I agree. I just don't want it to get there. I'm trying to put the brakes on that truck now so it doesn't roll completely down that hill. That's all I'm saying. I honestly think that this Astro Train is going to be a historic piece. It's going to be a piece that makes or breaks the direction, not the company, but the direction that the company is headed in. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it should be soon. Then we had Assaultus, and I thought people were going to come for me on that. There were some people in the comments that were like, look, I think that this is individual results may vary. Dude, maybe. If you look through the comments, there's tons of people that talk about the stability issues. If you look online in the forums, there's tons of people that talk about the stability issues. There's stability issues with this thing. You may be able to fix it with the feet. The problem there is once you add the feet in, it takes away the novelty of what it kind of does interestingly. So I think that's going to be a conversation that we need to have here too eventually, as a kind of look back at methods and means to be successful in regards to combiners. I think that conversation is going to happen. But yeah, it's not great functionally. It's not. Looks better than I thought it would, but not great. Then we had the dummy stuff with all the breaking, and most people seem to enjoy that. You know, like it's cool. I think it's very important for people like myself specifically to make sure that you take time to laugh at yourself, to acknowledge all of the things that you do wrong all the time. Keeps you level-headed. I thank the dummies for that as well. And we got plenty more dummies coming. And then the last thing is some of the Black Series stuff. A lot of guys gave me a lot of love on the Ewok Village diorama, and I appreciate it. I'm pretty proud of it myself. Like, it's one of those things where when I finished putting it in, I like couldn't stop laughing at it just because like how good it made me feel. So yeah, that's cool. Also, real quick, I got some changes coming to my review space. I'm planning, my goal is to launch it the day that we do Astro Train. So you should expect a bit of a different look then. And with that, I think we can get into today's conversation. So not too long ago, I had the conversation with you guys about getting rid of the terminology of I can't afford it, and instead say that it's not worth it to me. Because to say I can't afford it is not only one, a defeatist attitude, but for two, probably not true. It just comes down to prioritizing your funds, prioritizing your lifestyle, prioritizing your priorities. And I got a lot of pushback from that, and I understand it. It's a different way to look at things, but let me put it in perspective, and not to rehash it, but there's this third-party Ahsoka Tano statue that I love. There's only so many that were made. It's out of print, right? It comes up on eBay ever so often for about between $3,000 and $5,000, I feel like. That's not a purchase I can just jump to and make. That's a purchase I would have to save for, as a purchase I'd have to make sacrifices for or work harder for in order to obtain. It's going to be harder to get, but it's not impossible. I could get it the first time it drops, but I have to adjust my lifestyle a certain way, which may not be worth it to me at the time being. But I continued to see comments like, I wish I could afford this, I wish I could afford this, or I bought my first third-party piece. It's a legend scale thing because that I feel like I can afford. So I got to thinking, like, is this true? And what does the mainline cost? Because most people that say that usually follow it up with, but I'm buying the mainline, or I only can afford what Hasbro does, or et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, how big is the gap between buying first party and third party if you're kind of approaching it similarly? So in order to figure that out, I had to find out, what does it cost to collect first-party mainline Transformers from Hasbro? Let's take a look at this year. So I'd start out buying some deluxes, and this year we've seen 12 figures over 3 waves: Hoist, Wheeljack, Cliffjumper, Ironworks, RC, Airwave, Quintesson Alicon, Smokescreen, Trailbreaker, Sunstreaker, Run Amok, and Fast Track. Averaging at about $19.99 a figure, your total is going to come to about $239.88. And then we have our Voyagers. Between $25 and $30 a figure, we have Starscream, Grapple, Snapdragon, the Quintesson Judge, and Megatron spread across 3 waves at about $150 if we're airing on the cheaper side. Moving on to Leader Class, which is Voyager or slightly larger size with more advanced engineering, paint, and accessories. These run about $50 a pop, with 3 figures being released: Optimus Prime, Astro Train, and Double Dealer across 2 waves. And then we have our Commander class, large size figures or characters who don't fit into the smaller size class. Some of the best figures Hasbro has put out according to those that have picked them up. I wouldn't know. We get 1 figure per year. This year was Skylinks at $80. And lastly, our Titan class Scorponok, which I did pick up and can range from $130 to $150. Now, this year featured a high number of exclusives through both the Earthrise and Siege branding, many of which are considered essential to the mainline collector. Some are re-releases, and we will not be including those here. We're only counting the new, updated characters from these exclusives. Elita 1 at $20, and then we have Bumblebee, which seems like a weird choice, at $20. Hot Link at $40. I guess they got theirs funded. Soundwave with Ravage and Laserbeak at $40. The Seeker Elite 2-pack with Thundercrack and Skywarp at $50. The Seeker Elite Ramjet and Dirge 2-pack at $50. The Autobot Alliance Ironhide and Prowl 2-pack at $40. The Paradigm Medics 2-pack with Ratchet and Lifeline at $40. The Centurion Drone with a Weapons pack at $30. The Alternate Universe Dead Optimus Prime at $50. The Nemesis Optimus Prime at $55. And the Blue Streak at $20. If all of these figures were purchased for their original retail price, the total cost would be $1,224.74 as of September 25th at 7:47 a.m. So nothing to turn your nose up at, right? Nothing to scoff at. That's a fair amount of money. And I know that people will say, well, I don't have to buy all of them. That's the difference. I'm not buying all, which I get also. I totally understand that. But not everybody is buying all third party either. It's a trade-off, right? If you take, for instance, what I've bought this year, I'm buying multiple sets of Stunticons. So most people aren't that stupid. So they only buy one set, and therefore they don't have to have that extra expense. So let's compare those numbers. Let's take a look at what I've spent this year in regards to third-party Transformers that have been released this year. So now let me walk you through what I've purchased as a third-party kind of collector, but more so just a Masterpiece scale collector. But I am collecting kind of 2 lines. I'm collecting third-party Masterpiece, and every now and then a Takara piece to supplement my third-party Masterpiece collection, as well as MMC reformatted when the character means a lot to me from IDW. So I got Fans Toys Iceman at $134.99. MMC Gravis and the other one at $114.99. Fans Toys Sheridan at $99.99. Fans Toys Magnum at $104.99. Kang Toys Rampage and Tantrum, both of which at $119.99. Fans Toys Hunk at $89.99. Fans Toys Beachcomber at $109.99. DX9 Dead End at $99.99. And MMC Blast Off at $99.99, bringing us to a total of $1,094.99. Now, to be fair, the KFC Junkions, I got 2 more of those. They're supposed to arrive any day now, which will push me over at $1,334.88, but that's planning for the future. I have other stuff coming in as well, but there's going to be more Earthrise stuff as well, so it doesn't really negate the point. And to me, that was telling. To me, that shows between comparing the two that look like we're all kind of spending the same amount. It's just different mindsets regarding it. And I'm taking out the idea of, well, I have a moral standpoint against the third-party stuff. I'm taking that out of play. Right, I'm only playing into the idea of you're either collecting this line because you think it's affordable, or you're not collecting this line because you think it's unaffordable. And I think it's interesting to see. It basically comes down to 2 different mindsets: quantity over quality. And that's not to say that the Hasbro stuff does not have quality. It certainly does. And as we look at some of this 86 Studios stuff, some of that stuff looks good to me. And if they did did a whole line of seasons 1 through 4 in that, it would be alluring. But it's just to say some people want to have more, and some people are okay with having less as long as the sum of those parts is more. It's just a trading of mentalities. It's a trading of saying, look, I'm going to buy one thing over 4 things. But it doesn't mean that you're getting off cheap. In fact, as we've shown, your hobby could be more expensive than mine. You ballers, shot callers, brawlers, 20-inch wheels on the Impalas. So I just want to change the narrative. And and it's from both sides, because I think a lot of times third-party folks look down at the mainline collectors like, you know, the cheaps, or what do they call them? The poors. I've heard that. Like, but if you're all in on that line, you're spending probably just about as much as the third-party guys. It would be interesting to break down what a third-party Legends collector is buying. I think I'm going to save the Studio Series stuff for next week. I think this was enough to talk about this week. I think this is enough to sit on, talk about, think about. This isn't a money thing. This is a choices thing. And there's no wrong choices as long as you're happy with the results. And I mean that. I'm looking forward to talking about this Studio Series 86 movie stuff, though. So we'll get to that. But I think this was enough for today. I feel like it would get convoluted at this point. So yeah, we'll come back next week. A lot of this stuff recently, like this and the we're not in the same fandom conversation, have been things that have been brewing in the back of my mind that I just feel like I need to get off my chest and off my plate. And then I feel like I can move on to something else topically. But this is stuff that's been brewing. It feels good. It's therapeutic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.